The budget presentation for the 21-22 school year for the Northeast Kingdom Education Association, also known as NEKEA, and it's by Genevieve Hamby, Treasurer. Okay, so I just want to start off with what we're all interested in. How are the rates for our dues going to compare this year to last year? So right here we have last year's, the 2020-21 school year rates, and we can see that beyond our control is how the national and the Vermont dues have gone up by about $7. Our local rates last year compared to this year, this is what's proposed. We have proposed an increase in our local rates of 7 cents. So that makes the total dues for the year for active full-time professional staff of $712.34. And then you can see our Tier 1 and Tier 2, the most common non-certified staff categories. Those are $378.46 and $338.40 for the year. So that's just a little comparison there, and those are the final rates that we're voting on. And then I want to tell you a little bit about how we came up with the rates. Okay, first, just to compare about our membership totals, we have slightly higher in the professional category for full-time professional staff. There have been a lot of positions created this year that we didn't have before, and very similar rates of membership in the Tier 1 and Tier 2 categories. And now on to the Treasurer's Report. This is the draft of the Treasurer's Report. It's as of June 1st. I'll be updating this over the summer with our final numbers to be presented at the fall meeting. But if you look over what we've had for expenditures this year, we have collected around $250,000, of which we are looking at an additional $13,900 roughly that will be coming in. Of that amount, a little under $9,000 has been collected in local dues, and another just under $500 will be collected in local dues. That brings our total income with a savings withdrawal of about $1,132. We are looking at total income of a little bit under $9,500. That means that we've used less of our savings than we thought when we compare to the budget that we had set last year. So now down to the expenses for this year. As of this date, we have paid the stipends for the officers, and that is $8,690 roughly. We have scholarships of $200, although I expect there'll be 2 more people coming this summer to get their scholarships. So this category will be going up to probably $600 by the end of the summer. Because we haven't had in-person meetings, our meeting cost has been a lot lower for our membership meetings, only $53 to cover the Zoom. But we did have costs for negotiations, since every year seems to be a negotiations year, for the meetings of about $300, and then other legal costs like mediation, but also the printing of our contracts. That has amounted to around $1,340. So our total expenses this year so far has been $10,586.78. So just to review how this has all come together with our bank account, we have our obligation to pay for the Vermont NEA. We have what we have paid to date, and then we have approximately what we have left to pay to the Vermont NEA. We started on September 1st. We started with $33,000. $176.90, but we had some expenses that were an expense that was a holdover from 2020, but also a credit that the Vermont NEA gave us of $15.89 to cover Zoom. So those were expenses for 2020. We've collected dues, we've sent dues to the Vermont NEA, we've had expenses. So on June 1st, our checking account balance was around $42,000. We expect to bring in some more dues, but we also will be paying more dues and hopefully paying those 2 scholarships to those 2 outstanding students, which will leave us, I estimate, at the end of the year with about $29,704.51 in our checking account. Now, the Vermont NEA recommends having 50% of your operational expenses in savings. So that's why when we go to the next page and we look at the budget, why I'm suggesting that we continue drawing down on our savings to cover our expenditures and keeping our dues rate increase as low as possible for this upcoming year. Okay, this last item breaks down how I came up with the proposed budget based on how much we are expecting from local dues from our membership categories. When we add up these categories, we get a little bit under $10,000 coming in from local dues from our membership. At this point, with the budget that I'm proposing, we are thinking that we will take about $7,500 out of reserve funds to cover the budget. Here's the expenses that we're expecting in this upcoming year. Okay, the first category to review in our expenses would be our general operations. We are proposing slightly higher stipends in the grievance and negotiations categories and slightly lower in the officers category, which brings us to around $12,000 per year to support the work of those members. Then we have the supplies, $25, the scholarship fund, about $400. It could be as high as $800, but some years it's as low as $200. Outreach and annual meeting expenses, which hopefully next year we won't just be in Zoom, and hopefully we can have an in-person meeting at some point. Trainings. Recently, the Vermont NEA has been covering trainings, so I don't predict us to have an expense there since I imagine that they would be reimbursing us for those expenses. And then we have our arbitration expenses, which it seems like every year is a negotiations year, so about $4,200 when you add up those categories for those expenses. So our total expenses for the year being $17,225. Around $10,000 of that would be coming from the dues collected, but a good portion of that would be coming out of our savings. Okay, then the last piece to show you, with this being the dues rates that we're voting on today and how that would break down for our paychecks, because we usually do this rate in 19 pays starting in October and running through to June. That would be 19 paychecks. The first paycheck being a sort of an awkward amount, and then 18 pays at that consistent amounts. And then, of course, at some point around January, for anyone who decides to opt in, we'll have that optional $5 fee to support the Vermont Education Fund, which is the political action and negotiations in Montpelier. So those are the rates, and I hope that you will support those rates. We worked hard to keep the increase down to 7 cents or lower for the local dues. And so I hope you will vote yes and support this budget. Thank you.